Right, how you're doing? Well, I hope. With good news? Deliveries? Had any? You must have had some. Look, I would normally make videos about PinePhones of late, for the last couple months or so, because I've been doing the PinePhone Daily Driver Challenge groove. It's pretty solid. But this one ain't going to be about a PinePhone. However, I've recently had a delivery from the folks at Pine64, which means that some of you folks waiting for PinePhones and other knickknacks should have had them. How you finding them? If you're curious what my deliveries were, it's the PinePhone dock. I had one, and then I lost it. I don't know how I lost it, so I ordered one. PinePhone dock's got the PinePhone logo on it, look, see? And I took delivery of a PineTime. Look, it's there, PineTime, and it's on my wrist. And I bought this specifically to pair up with my PinePhone, which is this. So, what I'm going to do is go through just some of the bits that are on the PineTime. What is the PineTime, and just, you know, just general knickknacks in the grand scheme. It's still super early on in development, and you might get a bit of a surprise when you get yours, but just PineTime, super cheap. What is it? This is the PineTime. It is a super tiny, super tiny, it's a watch, unless it's like, oh, it's the size of a fist. Really cheap, low power smartwatch. Not just for PinePhones, you can pair it with other stuffs, Android, iOS, I think iOS, Linux. Linux is in one of these. Your PinePhone. There. And your computer. And it's running free RTOS, free real-time operating system, for microcontrollers, like what's in here. So super low power, super cheap. Specs-wise, I mean, specs aren't super, you know, important or impressive on a device like this. Weight, nothing. Zinc alloy and plastic. It's actually alright, to be honest. It's quite nice given the price. An IPS touchscreen, 1.3 inches. 240 by 240 pixels. And that's really it. I mean, unless you're super interested in 512k flash, 64k RAM, Bluetooth 5, heart rate sensor. It's got a button. Look at that. It's got a button. And there you go. There's your PineTime. Ain't that cool? Just blinded you with science. I didn't. But it's nice enough for me to have been wearing it since I got it. I think I've had it a couple of days now, 3 days. I don't know. I've had it for a little while, and I've paired it up. I've updated it, and it's all right. I'm not the kind of guy you sell a smartwatch to be honest. All I really want's a watch to tell the time. I don't really give a damn about notifications and things like that, which is why I haven't actually paired this thing with an Android phone. If you pair it up with your Android phone, you're gonna, or your whatever phone, you're gonna get notifications and stuff like that. On the PinePhone, not so much, but I've not paired it with my PinePhone. I'll get to that. Let me just give you a little tour of what's on the doobry, and then I'll tell you why I'm not paired with the PinePhone, even though I bought it for the PinePhone. It's not paired with my Android phone either, but it's not paired with my PinePhone. Right, so software on this is Infinitime, based on RTOS, from it's under the MOT open source license, I believe. It's got like lift to wake and stuff like that, which I don't use. I just press the button on the side, and if you want to turn off the screen again, like it will just turn off by itself. Or you can just double tap. I haven't set anything to make it wake up, so I have to press the button. Right. Should we go through? Let's go through the app. So if you swipe like that way, so swipe from the top down, you get your notifications. As I said, I'm not paired with anything, so I don't. Well, I am paired with something, but I don't get notifications. I'm looking into something for this, which will be neat because it will tie into a project I did a while back that I could never really get to go. There's your watch face. You've got digital. You press and hold. You've got analog. Ain't that neat? Press and hold again. I prefer it on the digital. Right, here's your apps. First one, stopwatch. Just start it. Just counting. Just counting. And you've done a lap. Mate, that was a really fast lap. Oh, mate. There you go. Done another lap. It's fantastic, isn't it? Right. Go back. Music controller. As I say, again, I'm not really paired up for anything, so I can't really control my tunes with it, but tunes. The next one here is GPS. So welcome to your navigation majig. Not paired with anything, so it's your foot tracker, your step tracker. This works quite nicely. And then you've got a heart rate monitor, which I'd never use because it wouldn't find a pulse. Even it does, just for me, I'm practically dead, so it wouldn't matter. It's not something I'm particularly interested in, but it you know, we'll do it for the sake of this. Oh no. Does it actually work? Not enough data. Please wait. Okay. Oh, there you go. So I have got a pulse. I am alive. I was telling you a bit of a fib. Alright, so there you go. So your heart rate monitor works. And then down here, you've got like games, apps, things like that. First one's your little, you can draw on your watch face. If you want to do that, you can. You've got like a Pong style game. Oh, I failed that article, didn't I? Oh well, there you go. And I can never remember what this is called. It's the game where the idea is to get the number by combining the numbers that come up. It always starts with 2s. You swipe them around, and you have to. The idea is to get the number that is the title of the game. That it's on the PinePhone. Oh, that's really washed out. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't really see that, but yeah. There you go. There's your games and other little apps. And I'm going to tell you now, this is like a £20 watch or something like that. Something like that. It's responsive. I mean, when they say that this is for lightweight microcontrollers, this is quick. Okay. I think this is nice. So swipe over to the side. These are your settings from your watch face. Swipe over. You've got brightness. There you go. If there you go. Bring that down. It might have actually been better if I was displaying things on the camera. I didn't really think about that. But I always have it there. You've got a torch. Because this is an LCD panel. So it's pretty bright. It's not OLED or anything, but that doesn't really matter. At first I was a little bit concerned. So I was like, oh mate, that's going to be really bright. It's not too bad. So, you know, turn that off. That button. I guess like to buzzy notification ease on or off. I'm not paired up with anything. And then settings. Come on, stupid fingers. There you go. Right. Display. Tells you how long you want your display to be on for before it times out. Okay. Wake up. This is how you get it to wake up. I've got it set to none, but you can have it to tap the screen, double tap the screen, or to tilt your wrist. So that'll wake up that way, which is, that's kind of cool, right? Then you've got your watch face, which is just your analog and your digital. As I said, you can just press and hold to get that to do its thing on the main watch face. Battery, I believe, is just your battery information, like your voltage, and to say that it's draining and stuff. Was that the right one? No, I think it was. No, I just went to firmware instead. What an idiot. There you go. Battery. There you go. Here's your battery. And 60%, I mean, the fact that it's still holding, it's got 60% charge, and I've only charged it once since I've got it. And I've actually just gone and realised I haven't actually told you what came with the damn thing, but, there's that. And then firmware. Right, now this is important. You have already validated this firmware. I'll tell you the story why that's important in a minute. And it's version 1.0.0. Okay, when you get this thing, it might come with 0.71, or at least mine did, and so that had to be updated. In fairness, 0.71 was reasonably usable for what I wanted to use it for, a watch. But I don't think the step tracker worked, the heart rate monitor didn't work, and there were like no other apps. The interface was pretty simple. It was just like, swipe to bring up like a list of different apps or whatever, like 6 different things you could choose, and the time. And for me, that was perfectly fine. But I updated to Infinitime 1, which this is, and then I managed to stuff it up. Now I didn't brick it, and it's sort of no fault of this. It was entirely my fault. But when you update your PineTime, okay, go into the firmware menu and it will come up with like validate or reset or something like that. The PineTime has the ability to hold on to 2 images right off the bat. So in my case, it started with 0.71. I then flashed 1.0.0 on there. So it still had hold of 0.71 and 1.0.0. So if anything went wrong, I could hit reset and it would reset the watch and put it back onto the previous firmware until I validate it, and then it goes, okay, now you're permanently on 1.0.0. Now I updated this with my PinePhone using the Siglu app, so SIGLO, which you can get from your repo. Just go to your terminal, sudo pacman tac s Siglu, whatever. That's what I used, at least. There's actually an entire page on the wiki as to how to update your phone or update your watch. I updated the watch, and like an idiot, I thought to myself, you know what? I want to flash another one of my P8 smartwatches, which is basically another PineTime, but it's not a PineTime. And I was like, I'm going to turn this off, and I'll just do what I do with my other P8 smartwatch, press and hold the button, and instead of it coming up with, do you want to shut down your PineTime, it restarted the watch and then reverted back to 0.71. Stupidly, I had just updated the OS on my PinePhone, and I couldn't get Siglo to start again. Even like I tried different operating systems. I tried restarting it. I tried to rewrite the image to the SD card into the eMMC, and for the life of me, I only got Siglo to connect once, and then I couldn't get it to flash again, which was really, 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 really annoying. Which is why I'm not connected to my PinePhone. But that doesn't matter right now. But just remember that if you don't validate your update and then you try to power it off, it will just revert to the previous firmware. And I didn't update the other P8 to Infinitime. I didn't bother in the end. I actually spent a lot longer trying to get this thing to pair back up to my PinePhone than was really necessary, to the point that I actually wanted to throw my PinePhone because it was really, really annoying that, it updated, everything fine, and then I run an OS update, and all of a sudden it was just having a hissy fit and wouldn't launch the app. And it didn't launch the app on Manjaro ARM, Phosh, Plasma, And I tried another one, and it just for some reason after updating it was like no, and then I tried to revert to a previous version, and whilst I did get it to connect, I couldn't get it to reflash. As you can see though, it is flashed now. I think it's my fault really, because I was walking around with the PinePhone in my hand and the watch on my wrist rather than taking it back off, and I do live in a terrible house for electromagnetic interference, so you know, if there's ever a time that you're going to suffer with Bluetooth drops and stuff like that, this is the place to have it happen. So writing the firmware wasn't a problem. If your firmware update fails, again, don't worry about it too much, because it doesn't, you can just restart the watch. I've not had any real fear of bricking this yet. And then if I just go to about, there you go, you've got the build date, the build time. And when I first did it, it had some other bits and bobs. Does this have when I on the last one I did on the 0.71, it had like, you know, hi from the developer on there, which was kind of cool. But yeah, this is your PineTime. It's I like it. I've never actually seen that bottom heart update. But there's my daily steps if anyone's curious. Not entirely sure how alarms work on this, unless you're using like an Android phone or whatever. I said iOS earlier. I don't know if it does have an iOS app, but for Android, I assume that if you pair it with your Android phone, it's just going to do the doobly wire to sync up your alarms. I have no way to set alarms on this at the moment, so no alarm. I don't know about how strong the vibration is on it either, but I'm hoping that if someone can get me a way to, if there is a way to set an alarm on here and to test the vibration on it, that would be fantastic without having to connect that up to my Android phone, because I do really want this to be a Linux device. I want to use this specifically for my Linux computer on my Linux phone. And that is what I actually have this paired to right now. It's connected up to my Linux desktop running Manjaro KDE. I just installed the Siglu app on KDE, because obviously these are running PinePhones are running Manjaro ARM. So I just installed the Siglo app on. I just installed the Siglo app on my desktop and then paired up with. It was actually easier to update the watch, by the way, using the Siglo app on my desktop than it was doing it on my phone, because the Siglo app on your desktop on Linux will just say, "Hey, do you want to like, what package do you want to update to? What firmware version do you want to update to?" Select the watch. And then just hit update. So you know, that was groovy. So this is connected up to my desktop right now, not to my phone. So I do actually wonder if I could control my tunes and that from my watch that's on my computer. And if one of my projects that I was doing a while back involving a smartwatch, in fact my first kind of foray into smartwatches, because I don't really like smartwatches, or smartphones for that matter. My first foray into smartwatches was a Pebble Time 2, the Mark II of the Pebble. I don't remember, not the round one, but my original goal with that was to get it to connect to one of my Linux computers and just give me IRC notifications. So if I was away from my computer, like if I was at another table doing some soldering or whatever like that, if I'd get notifications of people talking on my wrist. I'm wondering actually now if now that I've got the PineTime connected to my Linux desktop, if I could make that a thing for the notifications, that'd be really cool. Or if I could have like random Linux desktop notifications. I imagine that's how it's going to go. If I can actually, because like, as I keep on saying, the PinePhone is running Linux. So if you're going to get notifications off this, then surely you can get notifications off the desktop. So, but if that's the thing, that would be absolutely amazing for me. That'd be really cool. But Yeah, if I can get those kind of notifications going, that'd be great. Um, it's synced time with my PC just fine because you have an option. Like literally, all Siglo really does is it pairs up with your watch. It does a search for a PineTime. You select your PineTime, and then you can say update. As I say, like you pick the firmware that you want, and then you can just say, hey, flash it, and then it'll run the update. It'll pair with the watch, and it'll come up with an update progress bar. And that's pretty solid. And it also has just a sync time button, and that's basically it. That's all it really does. So any of the statistics that this thing is gathering, like my steps and my heart rate and things like that, they're not going anywhere for me right now. But it's still a pretty nice little device to have. I like it given the price. And I've got another P8 smartwatch somewhere over there, which I don't use on my Android phone either. I actually originally wanted to flash Infinitime or Wasp OS, which was another PineTime distro. I wanted to, or OS. I wanted to put that on it, but I never got around to it because of the bootloader. I had a beta bootloader on it. And I didn't want to fluff with it because the devices are sealed, and you don't want to have to break it open to do jiggery pokey with it to get it to work again. You can you can still now buy dev units of the PineTime where they're just not sealed. So when it says sealed, it literally just means it is sealed. The dev units, they're just open. They the board is connected up. They've got wires that you can then probe the inside with, and you can't really wear it because it's not stuck together. It's open. It isn't sealed. But yeah, I didn't want to brick anything, and I really wanted to kind of have a smart device to be an exclusive thing with my PinePhone. Oh, I was having a hissy fit at me. It's because I haven't updated it since I wiped the card. But yeah, if you like I say, if you have any trouble getting it to pair with your phone, try with your desktop. It's actually really neat that I got this to pair with my desktop. But as I say, it is Linux, so that's a thing. Yeah, feature-wise, I can't set alarms on it. I'd really like to have a vibrating alarm, so I don't disturb anyone in my house when I set an alarm for stupid o'clock in the morning. That's one of the other reasons why I like the Pebble, because it had a decent vibrating alarm. Most vibrating alarms didn't do anything for me. They don't wake me up at all. If I can get an alarm set on this, that'd be rad. Like multiple alarms, that'd be rad. And if the vibration feature is pretty good, then that'll be cool. But at this point I don't know. But for the price of about $25, I think I paid about £11 shipping on it, or $11 shipping. It's about $25 ish, and $11 shipped. That's why I actually bought the PinePhone dock with it, just so I could make the shipping sting less. There's that. Oh, and the only other thing you get is this little magnetic charging dealy-doo. Just plug that into a USB port and just slot your watch on there, and it just kind of, and it'll charge. It doesn't take a huge amount of time to charge, and as I say, because there's not really a lot going on it at the moment, the battery lasts for absolutely eons, and I do like just having it. It's comfortable. If you don't like the watch strap, you can buy other watch straps for it. It's nice. It's a nice little watch. It's super simple, and the fact that it is open source is it tickles me in all the right places, But I don't actually remember if there's anything else that I really wanted to say about it other than I like it. It's cheap. It's a pain in the ass sometimes to sync when your PinePhone just decides it doesn't want to open up the software. The other software you can use is Amazefish, Amazfish. You can set up like a profile on it and give it your height and your age and all that kind of fluff. How many steps do you want to take? But I haven't bothered with that one, to be honest. The theming was broken on that one, so it was just a ball ache to do. So I was like, nope, we ain't going to use that. I'll just use Sig to pair up and set the time on it and stuff. And realistically, like I said, with the exception of the fact that it doesn't have an alarm on it, it's actually alright. It's kind of weird to have a watch without an alarm. I would like just to have an option on here, please, to set an alarm. If there is one, I'm completely blind and have missed it. But I would like just an option to set alarms on the watch. And if I can get it to show me my IRC messages and stuff, that'd be cool too. That's it. I don't know about your Android apps or your other apps because I've not used them. I don't plan to use them that way because I actually have a smartwatch for Android. I have a TicWatch Pro, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't really like smartwatches. I don't really like smartphones because I'm constantly connected. Used to be the dream once upon a time, but now the idea that if I'm out of the house trying to chill out and I'm constantly getting messages, it just slowly but surely grinds on my sanity, and so there are just times when I like to have a bit of a disconnect. But this was a neat little thing that I wanted to try, because, yeah. I like any project that goes, free or open source. It's always nice to see what, the wider world can do versus, big company X. And like I say, it's quick. So just a cheap little microcontroller in here, and it's quick, nice and responsive. I mean, it didn't seem like it because I've got goobery fingers and I'm trying to do things through the back of a camera, but it's nice. The screen is quite nice, even though it's like super low res. You can see pixels, but it doesn't matter. It's for a version 1 of Infinitime. I like it. I would recommend it. If you're in the market for a super cheap smartwatch that's in constant development, and would go nice with your PinePhone on your Pine dock, with your PinePhone charger, using your Pine64 battery, with your Rock 64 and your Pinebook Pro and Pine Power and the other ones. Pine it, mate. I mean, people laughed and I said, "Oh yeah, it's called the PineTime," and they're like, "Ah, that's kind of cool." Nerds. That's it. Honestly, but don't let the idea that I've had trouble syncing it up with the PinePhone put you off. Because when I first got it here, opened it up, popped it on charge, and was like, should probably update it. Literally, installed Siglo, whatever. And straight away was like, there's your PineTime. There it is. Do you want to update it? And I was like, yes. And it did it. First try, no trouble. I even had there was a little clip of video somewhere. I'm not going to put it in, but there's literally a little clip of video. It was like instant, and then I just had to sit there whilst it chugged along. If I hadn't have been a tit and tried to turn it off like my other P8 smartwatch, because it was automatically finding, the app was automatically finding this. I was like, if I turn this off, I can update my other watch. Didn't happen, but if I hadn't have been a tit, it wouldn't have been a problem. You know what I mean? Shall we see if it works? That's what you're looking to type. And this is often where it would hang. Sometimes it would just launch straight away. Other times it would just hang. Ugh. As I say, it's pretty simple to, like, the interface is literally just connect to, here's a PineTime, or turn on Bluetooth, here's your PineTime. Do you want to update? Yes. Do you want to sync the time? Yes. And then that is literally all the app does. But Don't let that put you off. If you're a Linux user, you can just install this app on your desktop. That's what I did. That's all I got to say. I've rabbited on now for, what, half an hour? And you've got next to nothing out of it. They're alright bits of kit. They're nice bits of kit that are being worked on. They're not perfect, they're not flawless. Features are being added every day. Software's being updated every day. But I do enjoy little bits like this. And really, for, 20 bucks, 20 odd bucks, doesn't hurt to have one to play with, does it? And if you're in the market for a cheapy little smartwatch, why not? Pair it with your Android phone or your Linux desktop or, I don't know, your toaster, your smart toaster. That'll do it, right? Yeah. Next time I come the about, I will be talking PinePhone docks. Because that's something else that I took delivery of, because I bought me replacement PinePhone dock, and then I found there was something else that would have probably done the same job a bit cheaper. This dealio, but we'll make a little video about that next week. Again, have you had your PinePhones? Let me know. See you all in the next one.